Hi everyone, I wanted to go over the theory and rationale paper with you. As you can see, I'm right here, and I'm going to be pulling up a sample and what a good theory paper will do. This is a sample planning chart to use, but in reality, you should use the chart that you've been using on your assignments because that way it just goes in. When we're done looking at these two items, I'll pull up the scoring rubric and go over that with you. So let's look at what a good theory paper is going to do. Your paper will summarize the issue in 1 to 2 paragraphs, and you'll be tweaking what you already have. Then you're going to introduce at least one model and clearly explain how it relates to the issue and/or your population. Make sure that you are very specific in discussing how this model relates, and I've been giving you feedback on your assignments. Then briefly explain what you think your program will look like. That's going to be 1 to 3 paragraphs long. It doesn't have to be long, but I need to see what you're thinking. Then you're going to identify the goals, community goals, and objectives in the chart. And you're going to fill in the grant goal, your community goal, and the objectives, which is the far left column of the chart. And we're going to look at this in a little bit. You can do the evaluation for feedback only, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then you're going to summarize the paper. This says possible headings, but these are the headings I want you to use in your paper. It will help you stay organized, and it is aligned with APA format. You'll have an introduction, theory model, program description, and your goals and objectives. Then a summary of the paper. The goals and objective chart is in landscape format. And so when we talk about submission, we'll talk about some ways to do that. Okay, so next there is a sample in here that shows you some things. Whoops. Pull this over and open it. So this would be a C+ paper because it's not specific enough. It's just here to show you the kind of things that we should see. So this talks about breast cancer, gives feedback on breast cancer. These data may or may not be accurate, and the citations are all made up, but just so you can see what it looks like. Then here is the model part. So here's the introduction to the problem. That should be longer and more detailed. Then you have a description of a model, and I chose to put it in a chart. You can narrate it in paragraph format, or you can put it in a chart. Notice the constructs of the model are here, and very specific examples are here. These examples relate to my population. Then it says I'm going to develop a breast health program in Highlandtown, which has a large Hispanic population, and Park Heights, which has a large Black population. You could also have more than one model, but you only need one. Then I'm going to explain the program. And this is too brief of an explanation. When I finish reading your description of your program, I should have a really good idea of what you're thinking about. It does not have to be specific, but it needs to be more specific than this. So for example, here, I might talk about where I'm having my events, what will be covered in the events, basic ideas of what will happen within the program, but you need to make sure you do that. And then here are the goals. So decrease breast cancer mortality in African American and Latina women. Your community goal is the same thing in your community, and you'll put your community in there. You're going to put your objectives here. You do not need these models. Those are there just as a reminder to me of what I'm thinking about when I'm writing the objectives, but you don't need these models because you've already discussed them. So we have an objective with all the goals. And as you can see, there's a lot of objectives because in order to hit a goal of decreasing cancer mortality, it's going to take a lot of different things to happen. So you are required to do the grant goal, your community goal, and the first column. And you've already been doing this and you've been getting feedback on it. In this column, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be putting in assessments. And we haven't gone over this yet, and you don't have to do it. It's just to give you some feedback. But when you do assessments, they're dictated by the objective. So let's go down here. It says by the end of the first year, there'll be a 60% increase in women performing routine breast exams. So I need to measure if women are performing BSEs, and I'm going to give them a survey that asks them their intent to do BSE, because I can't actually go watch them do it. Let's see. Another one just to show you. 300 women will be in the community will receive training and support within the first 6 months. I'm going to count the number of women who complete the training. So whatever is in your objective, if you want to make a stab at guessing of what the evaluation would be, I will give you feedback on it. Normally we would go over it, but I've given you a writing day instead of going over evaluation right now. I wanted to take a pause and let you breathe a little bit so you could write. So we haven't gone over this. This may be hard to do, but you're only doing it for feedback if you choose to do it. So that is a sample of what it might look like. So let's open up the scoring rubric so you can see how this will be graded. Here are the writing goals we're using. So I'm going to see, do you have a 2 to 3 paragraph introduction defining the problem in the population? It's worth up to 4 points. Then, is your theory clearly defined, and is it clear that you understand the theory and that you can relate it to your project? Your definition of your theory can be very brief, because when you apply it or relate it to what you're doing, that's when I can tell if you really understand it. So don't spend a lot of time just copying definitions and explaining the theory. Show me you understand it by showing me how it is related to your project or program. That's worth up to 12 points. Your theories, goals, and objectives, are they all designed to reach the overarching goal of the grant? The theories, goals, and objectives align with each other, so I'm going to make sure that whatever your objectives are align with your goals and your theory. And then 10 more points if your objectives are SMART. So if all your objectives are SMART, you get 10. If more than half are, you get 8, and so on. And then we have the typical spelling grammar format. So spelling and grammar, APA, and your paper is well organized, excuse me, with a beginning, middle, and end. It's sequential and logical. If you have any questions, make sure you ask. I'm grading your outlines now, and you'll be able to use them to help you write your papers that are due this weekend.